You are back with comedian David Boyle, and I'm quitting alcohol. So I started releasing videos yesterday, and the data in seems to suggest that the algorithm doesn't like when you say fuck 4 times and cunt twice in a 20-second video. It's either the algorithm or the general public. Either way, fuck them both. They're both cunts. You're getting my fucking content now, whether you like it or not. I'll either get cancelled or I'll fucking weed out all the shit cunts anyway. So this is the game we're playing. The listeners of the podcast get it. They've already been fucking put through the fucking works. From fucking funny episodes to the most boring shit you've ever fucking listened to me talking about my rig for fucking 400 days. The people who are already listening are the fucking only people I really even want listening to the podcast. At least I don't have to worry about saying something wrong. Although I do a little bit because cunts don't like me talking about jujitsu, Bitcoin, or politics. Listen, it's a quitting alcohol podcast. Of course I'm going to talk about Bitcoin and fucking jujitsu and fucking politics. What else do you talk about in a fucking pub? You talk about politics and you talk about fucking Bitcoin and you get into big arguments and then you use your fucking jujitsu to strangle the cunts out. Even long-time listeners of this podcast are sensitive cunts. Shut up. If you don't agree with me on... if you don't agree with me on 100% of the things I believe in, then stop listening. It can't be 99%. It has to be 100%. All right? My best mates, I think we agree on like 30% of things. And what happens is when you're having a talk with your friend and you're having a disagreement, you just fucking ignore them. You're just like, all right, he's a fucking idiot. Who cares? Actually, I don't agree with anything any of my friends say. Even if I believe the same thing as them, fuck them. I'd rather just argue. You're a dumb cunt. Shut up. Jesus Christ. Why has it become so fucking divided where cunts can't just call other cunts cunts and everyone just get along, even if you have different opinions and even if you are a cunt? Remember how I said a while back that I'm going to try and do this podcast and comedy through love without saying negative shit? Well, that's been postponed for a little while. I'll get back to that soon enough, but for now, fuck everything and everyone. Anyway, fucking go check out the content and let's kick on with this week's fucking Boyle Breaks history. So this week's Boyle Break history, I'm talking about war bonds. Do you know what they are? That's how they used to fund wars. So what they used to do before a country went to war is they would try and get the population on side, enthusiastic about the war. Like the British, I don't know, with the French or some shit. They're like, hey, we got to kill those fucking frogs, steal their fucking champagne. Are you in? And everyone hated the French, so they're like, yeah, we're in. And the Queen or whoever the fuck was like, all right, we'll raise taxes because everyone's on board and we'll issue war bonds. Well, the war bonds didn't come on until a little bit later. World War I was when the war bonds really fucking came into play. So the countries that were involved in World War I, most of the countries involved weren't fucking that keen. So they tried to drum up support for the war, and the general population, like England, America, all this sort of shit, the people were like, no, we're not that keen on fucking this war. We're not going to buy war bonds and you're not going to fucking tax us either because we don't want to be in this war. So what they did was they fucking temporarily took the country off the gold standard. And they're like, all right, while this war is going on, we're going off the gold standard and we're going to print money. We're going to inflate the currency to pay for the war. So when you have a war that doesn't have the population support, what you do is you inflate the fuck out of the currency and you just start printing money. And that's what they did in World War I. because it didn't really have the support of the people. And obviously, once you go off the gold standard and print a shitload of money, it's hard to go back on the gold standard because the price of gold will have gone through the roof. So they never really went back on the gold standard after 1914. So let's go to World War II. What happened there? Same thing. Early in World War II, they were issuing war bonds to get into the war. No one was interested. They raised taxes, I think 5% in the US. A victory tax, they called it. Because the war has to be funded somehow. And the people just weren't into it. People weren't into fucking the bonds or the fucking war at all. And then Pearl Harbor hit, and the war bonds started flying off the fucking shelves. The population were galvanized to get into World War II after Pearl Harbor. And so the US got to fund a lot of their war effort through the war bonds. So basically, the war bonds, I should explain what the fuck a war bond is. I probably should have done that at the start. So the government issues a war bond, and they were selling them at basically 75 cents for the dollar. So if you got a $100 war bond, you could buy it at $75 and it would mature in 10 years, which isn't that much. It's like 2.5% a year while they are fucking inflating the shit out of the currency. So that's all a war bond is. It's like an IOU for the government. You give us your money now so we can pay for the war. And once we've won, we'll give you the money back with a little bit of fucking interest. But war bonds only work if the population wants to go to war. So after World War II, how did they pay for all the unpopular wars no one wanted to be in? Korea, Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan, all this sort of shit. How did they pay for them? Because they didn't issue war bonds and they didn't raise taxes because they would have been voted out immediately. How did they get the money to fund all these wars? They inflated the currency. Correct answer. They just printed money. They inflated the currency so the general population pays for the war whether they like it or not. That's how you fund a war. Inflation. So you think you're not paying for it, but you are. So that's it for today. War bonds. The war bonds now is inflation. All right, that'll do for today, and I'll see you the fuck later.